Right now, billions of people are watching matches inside some of the most extraordinary structures ever built by human hands. A modern World Cup stadium holds up to 90,000 people. It has to withstand the weight of a roaring crowd, the force of wind and rain, and the scrutiny of the entire world watching on television. Building one takes years, thousands of workers, hundreds of thousands of tons of steel and concrete, and an almost unimaginable level of engineering precision. This is how a World Cup stadium is built. If you're curious about how things are made and built, subscribe to Genius Rodeo. Every week we go inside the processes behind the things that shape our world. Before a single shovel of earth is moved, building a World Cup stadium begins with years of planning. FIFA has strict requirements for host stadiums. A minimum seating capacity, usually 40,000 for group stage matches and up to 80,000 or more for the final, adequate transport infrastructure, media facilities, player facilities, and safety systems that meet the highest international standards. Site selection is one of the most critical early decisions. Engineers conduct detailed geological surveys of the ground, studying soil composition, underground water levels, and seismic activity to understand what the land can support. The wrong site can add hundreds of millions of dollars to the cost or make construction impossible altogether. Once a site is confirmed, architects and structural engineers work together for months, sometimes years, to develop detailed designs and blueprints that satisfy both FIFA's requirements and the host nation's vision for what the stadium should represent. The 2026 World Cup stadiums across the USA, Canada, and Mexico represent some of the largest and most technically advanced sporting venues ever built or renovated. With planning complete and approvals secured, construction begins from the ground up, literally. The first stage is earthworks. Teams of excavators and bulldozers clear and level the site, removing thousands of tons of earth, rock, and debris. For a stadium of this scale, the foundation must be extraordinary. Engineers drive steel or concrete piles deep into the ground, sometimes 20 to 30 meters below the surface, until they reach bedrock or a load-bearing layer of earth strong enough to support the enormous weight above. A single large stadium can weigh several 100,000 tons. Every kilogram of that weight must be transferred safely down through the structure and into the ground through these foundations. Once the piles are in place, a thick reinforced concrete slab, called the foundation mat, is poured across the entire footprint of the stadium. This can require thousands of cubic meters of concrete, poured continuously over several days without stopping, because if the concrete sets unevenly, it creates weak points that could compromise the entire structure above. The foundation stage alone can take several months and is largely invisible once the stadium is complete, but it is the most critical work of the entire project. With the foundations complete, the stadium begins to rise. The primary structure of a modern stadium is steel, thousands of tons of it, fabricated off-site in steel mills and delivered to the construction site in precision-cut sections. Tower cranes, some of the largest ever used in construction, lift these massive steel sections into position where teams of structural steelworkers bolt and weld them together, building the skeleton of the stadium tier by tier. The cantilevered roof, the sweeping overhang that covers the spectator tiers without any supporting columns blocking sightlines, is one of the most complex engineering challenges in stadium construction. Modern stadium roofs can span over 200 meters, held up by enormous steel trusses engineered to distribute the enormous load across the structure. Some roofs use tension cables, like a bicycle wheel, where the tension in the cables provides the structural strength rather than rigid beams alone. This stage is where the stadium starts to look like a stadium. The skeletal steel frame rising against the sky is one of the most dramatic phases of the entire construction process. As the steel frame rises, the seating bowl takes shape beneath it. The terracing, the stepped concrete tiers that hold the seats, is either cast in place on site or built from precast concrete sections manufactured off-site and craned into position. Precast construction has become the preferred method for large stadium projects because it is faster, more consistent in quality, and reduces the amount of wet concrete work needed at height. Each seating tier must be precisely angled to ensure every spectator has an unobstructed view of the pitch. Stadium designers use complex sightline calculations to determine the exact angle and height of each row, ensuring that even a fan in the back row of the upper tier can see the goal line clearly. The seats themselves, typically molded polypropylene in the team or host nation's colors, are bolted individually into the concrete, each one tested for load-bearing capacity to safely support a spectator through 90 minutes of sitting, standing, jumping, and celebrating. While the structure rises around it, the playing surface, the pitch, is being carefully constructed at the center. A World Cup pitch is far more engineered than it appears. Beneath the grass surface lies a sophisticated drainage system, layers of gravel, sand, and perforated pipes that can remove large volumes of water quickly, keeping the pitch playable even during heavy rain. Modern World Cup pitches use hybrid grass, a combination of natural grass and synthetic fibers that are stitched or woven into the soil. The synthetic fibers anchor the natural grass roots, making the surface far more durable and resistant to wear than natural grass alone. FIFA specifies exact requirements for pitch dimensions, grass height, surface hardness, and ball roll distance, all tested and certified before the first match is played. The pitch is one of the last elements completed before a stadium opens, because the grass needs time to establish and grow to the precise condition required for professional play. With the structural shell complete and the pitch established, the final months of construction focus on fitting out the interior, transforming a concrete and steel shell into a fully functioning venue. Dressing rooms and player facilities are built to FIFA's exact specifications, with medical rooms, warm-up areas, press conference facilities, and secured tunnel access from the dressing rooms to the pitch. The floodlighting system for World Cup Stadium is extraordinary in scale. Hundreds of high-powered LED floodlights are positioned around the stadium to illuminate the pitch evenly, providing enough light for both players and the broadcast cameras that will beam the match to billions of viewers worldwide. Giant LED screens, some measuring hundreds of square meters, are installed to display replays, match information, and broadcast feeds to spectators inside the ground. Thousands of kilometers of electrical cable, data cable, and fiber optic connections are installed throughout the stadium to power everything from the scoreboard to the broadcast infrastructure serving the world's media. Finally, the stadium is tested, capacity crowd simulations, emergency evacuation drills, broadcast signal checks, and pitch inspections, before FIFA certifies it ready to host a World Cup match. Steel, concrete, engineering, precision, years of planning, thousands of workers, and hundreds of thousands of tons of material, all coming together to create the arena where history is made and legends are born. The next time you watch a World Cup match, you'll know exactly what it took to build the ground beneath their feet. Subscribe to Genius Rodeo for more weekly videos on how things are made and built. We'll see you in the next one.